Hi everyone, so today we're going to look at resultant forces in GCSE Physics and combined science. So starting from the beginning then, so two forces acting in the opposite direction, if we look at them on this tennis ball, so let's say for example this tennis ball was travelling to the right at, or with 10 newtons of force, going that way, but then it's experiencing an opposite force of air resistance or friction, which is 5 newtons. Okay, so this particular example, we can calculate the resultant force, that's the force that's left over, that's the force that wins, by subtracting the two numbers. So that would give us a resultant force of 5 newtons, and it is in the direction of the leftover force as well. So it's 5 newtons to the right. You have to give the direction because it's a vector quantity which has direction as well as magnitude. Okay, so let's just rub that out and let's have a look at another example. If we look at the tennis ball again, but this time let's change the forces that are acting on it. So now we have, let's have a look. So we have forces acting this way of 6 newtons and forces acting this way of an equivalent number which is 6 newtons. And we should have our arrows of the same size. Right, so I'm just going to make this one a little bit bigger because it's slightly smaller, but if it's the same magnitude it should be around the same size. That looks about right to me. So now we have a situation where if we subtract the forces we have 0, and that is a balanced force. So what that means is there's no change in the motion. It would either continue at the same speed or it would be stationary. Okay, right, so let's look at an exam question that I found on resultant forces. So here we have an aeroplane, and the question gives us this, shows the direction of the horizontal is left and right. So horizontal force is acting on the aeroplane as it moves in a straight line on the runway, so it's not taken off yet, it's just on the runway. So we have this direction, see how the arrows are here, so we've got a bigger arrow here, and that's 14,000 newtons, and we've got a smaller arrow here of friction, and we've also got this one here. So we have two forces, or two values here, going to the left and one going to the right. So the question says determine the magnitude, so that's the value, of the resultant horizontal force on the aeroplane. It's only worth 1 mark, so it's a sort of simple calculation, but the first thing we need to do is work out the total for this side on the left. So we are going to add together the air resistance and the friction, and in the physics paper you have a calculator, so you don't have to worry about doing any mental maths for this one. So that adds up to 14,000 newtons. So that's the total going to the left. And then we already know the total going to the right, so we're just going to subtract 14,000. Make sure we show our working just so the examiner knows to give us the full marks. And of course that gives us nothing, so that means determine the magnitude, it would be 0. That means it's balanced. Okay.